Hey everyone, Simon here. Today I want to go ahead and discuss a video that's on a different trend. I've been giving a lot of entrepreneur advice and maybe even business advice, as well as some cool credit cards and so forth. But someone actually contacted me and said, hey, I'm not in a position to work for myself, or I don't have a company, etc. Can you give me some pointers on a job interview, as you've hired people and have businesses? So this video covers job interview questions for those that are still in the workforce, how to land a successful job or potentially improve your career opportunity. Now, again, these are my experiences from hiring people, and I've probably hired well over 100 people in my career. So before I go into this interview or job interview questions, go ahead, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. As always, I appreciate it. Let's get into it. Running several different companies, I've come across a lot of different personalities. I've basically had the opportunity to work with really high-level corporate executives from companies such as Home Depot and Lowe's, and marketing companies that were funded and some public, and other companies in between. So I've also hired and worked with forklift drivers and people that do packaging that maybe did not have a university degree, or people that are in a different skill set trait. Now, there's nothing wrong with each type of individual, but all of these characteristics and personas require a different level of attention, expectation, and really a different way of dealing with each individual. Here's some tips that I've always looked for when hiring any type of potential to deal with any type of individual, whether they're a forklift driver or they are going to be dealing in sales or executive sales, etc. And these are some questions as well as things I recommend you do during an interview to better have an opportunity to get that job, and what I personally looked for when I was interviewing potential candidates. First question I think all job interview HR people or the owners of the company will ask you is to tell them a bit about yourself. So you have to have that ready. And when they ask you that, you got to give them a pretty good detail or a bio, where you grew up, who's in your family, what your parents do, what are some past experience in work, pretty much anything that gives them a bright idea if you had a decent upbringing or if you've overcome objections in your upbringing. And it kind of builds a characterization from the beginning of what type of person you are. This is probably one of the most important questions, because people like myself want to see if you could articulate yourself well enough to draw some type of attraction to work in this office or the next. So make sure you guys practice that and give a little bit of a bio experience in the mirror to see how you could relate yourself to the person interviewing you. I've always hated when people came into my office, and I don't have the biggest company or anything like that, but I've always hated when people came into my office. They've never been on the website. They don't know what this company is about. And this probably happens about 1/3 of the time when I interview someone. They have no idea what we do, what we're about. And it tends to happen more on jobs that don't require sales or on the executive level conversation. So people that come in, and if you're looking for your, say, first job and you're applying somewhere and you don't know what that company does, it really shows to the ownership or the management that you didn't do any research and that you have no interest in really working here.
Actually, sir, I really need this job to impress a girl.
Will you leave now, please?
My advice is, if you're going to go into a company, make sure you do research on the company. Give them an example of why you want to work at this company. And it doesn't have to be a BS statement. It could really be, I need a job and this company seems like it's been around for a while. It would be a great starting point or a fit for me. So that's some advice that I recommend as well. Always have a resume. There's been interviews in the past where people don't have a resume, or they had their girlfriend create them and so forth, and those people don't get hired. So make sure you spend time to have a resume. Obviously nowadays your resumes are online or on LinkedIn. Always make sure you update those as well, for recruiters as well as for someone to be able to get something in paper. Don't just show up in an office without a paper that gives you a bio. People are going way steps above putting their profiles on YouTube, creating their own websites. If you can't even bring in a paper that says your past experience or it's not updated, you're probably not going to be organized working at any environment. So make sure you have one.
professional resume, athletic and special skills resume, and do I trivia?
One thing I always look at is if you've job hopped. So if you have job hopped and you have a 1 year in and 1 year out in the last 3 jobs, that's a problem, because what that tells me is you are always trying to get the next better thing or the next quick pay without really building up and helping the company. So you have to have a good reason if that happens to you. Job hoppers to me are a waste of time because it takes several months to train someone to do the job, and then if they just go into the next job, it's you won't be able to grow your business that way. So if you are applying for a job and if you are constantly hopping job to job, you have to come up with a good excuse as to why you're doing that. Maybe you're moving, maybe you had a child, maybe you're young and that was your first job and you worked at a pizza place, but you got to have an excuse. I think a lot of employers want to see commitment, they want to see some type of loyalty, and they want to see that you're going to be around helping the company grow. A big question is all the time is, why should I hire you versus the 10 other resumes sitting on my desk?
I want the job. I really do.
I always look for a hard worker that takes care of themselves. I also ask a question, how organized you are, and if people come in with an answer on a scale of 0 to 10 with a 5 or 6, I don't even consider that. Unorganized people tend to not have an organized life, and they tend to also potentially not be as successful in anything they do, and including something that you'll want them to do. So if you are getting asked questions, why should I hire you? Say you're extremely organized, you are a hard worker, you listen well to demands in the workforce, you try to do more, you're going to bust your butt off. And I think if you tell that to the person that is interviewing you, you're going to have a much better opportunity to get that job.
I work too hard, I care too much, and sometimes I can be too invested in my job.
Questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, are always up for me, because I want to see if you got something else coming up that I need to know about.
We want the person who takes this position to be here for the long haul. So, long haul. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
You know, your answer should be improving your life, whether it is at this job or any juncture in your life. You want to tell them that, hey, in 5 years, I want to be better than I am today. That's a good answer. Another question is, have you had conflict in the workforce before? I want to see how you work with people you don't get along, how you worked with past management that you didn't get along with. What if you didn't agree with your manager in the past? Did you go against them?
I've watched you screw up this office for 10 years, and I'm filing a lawsuit, and I'm going to tell them about every stupid thing you've ever done up in this office.
I want to see if you have ethics. Example is, if I'm hiring someone to do shipping at one of my businesses, and I ask them, how did you get along with your past manager? And he tells me he hated it, or there was conflict because he didn't know what he was doing. That's not what I want to hear, because that's opinion based on your opinion. Maybe the management's role was to follow the guidelines that were set by the ownership, and he was requesting the owner to do that, yet you're defiant of that request. That's not good. So don't share things like that during a job interview at all. Some people ask, what is your dream job? I usually don't ask that because I don't think a lot of people have a dream job. I personally don't think I have a dream job. I don't know, I have many jobs, but not something as a dream job. So I don't know, I don't ask that question, but if you get asked that question, I think you should say something along the lines that you want job security, a job that provides job security for you and your family, a good pay, and opportunity for growth. So if you could answer, what is your dream job? I would answer that way. Don't tell them you want to go work on a beach, because you're most likely going to work in an office, and that doesn't make sense. Before the interview, I always tend to see if the person I'm hiring is going to be within the salary I want to pay, so we both don't waste each other's time. So if you do get a job interview, you should always find out what they are paying. If you have a number set in your mind, don't even take that job interview if they're not able to meet that guideline, because you're just going to waste your time. Unless it's a great opportunity, I wouldn't do it, because you're not going to be satisfied with the level of pay and your skill set and so forth. Example, if I am hiring a manager at $100,000 for the year in salary and they want $130,000, that's their minimum, this conversation usually does not go farther.
I'm almost a little concerned that you might be overqualified for the position. Do you think that you are?
Do I look like someone who would waste my own time?
Unless I'm paying below market rate and I have a really good opportunity to get a really good candidate in the business, that doesn't happen. So if you are undervaluing yourself to get a job, I'd probably look for a job that gets you the value that you want and not waste anyone's time. So make sure you know what salary is being paid before the job interview as well, if you could do so. Other things that are going to come up in the job interview are just basically what expectations you have from management, what past expectations you had from your past management. So what you probably want to tell them from management is you're hoping for quality direction and you're hoping to help them out. So you expect them to give you direction and you want to excel in providing what they are requesting to make their life easier and have a positive impact on the company that you work for. People are going to ask you if you're a team player or a self-starter. This is a tricky question because it goes into what type of position are you applying for. So nowadays with the new office environments, they're all open spaced for the most part and people work in teams. In fact, I find the team environment to be a better environment than the individual environment. So I recommend sticking with the team side and answering something like this where I am definitely a team player. I believe that numbers that are greater or a team that is stronger in numbers is a better team that will allow me to flourish and the rest of the team members to flourish, picking up whatever slack as we all work together to achieve a common goal. However, I'm not afraid to have a starter mentality where I can do something on my own if requested to do that away from the pack or the team. So let them know that you love working in a team, yet you can do things on your own if there are special tasks as well. So the last question always comes up, do you have any questions? And you guys can ask the questions here below as well and comment below and I'll answer them as well if you do have questions. But in an interview, you want to go ahead and prepare about 3 questions, maybe 5. I think you'll know how the interview is going based on the engagement of the person interviewing you. So if they are interviewing you and they're happy that you're in there, you could tell by their smile, their posture, eye contact, which you should keep at all times with that individual as well, and body language. Body language is key. I recommend you read a book on body language, which I've done. In fact, a lot of body language interrogators, investigators, they read that very well. So you want to go ahead and feel that out. If that person's engaged, you will know. If you see that they are engaged, you could ask them more questions. Have questions because this is what will make you stand out. You would ask something like this. What are the challenges with this company? Why are you looking to hire someone else? What can that person that you hire bring to benefit this company? What would you expect for me to do while I come in? What does the first 30 days look like in your company so I could properly prepare myself? What will you need me to do once I learn the basics here? Do you want me to take initiative, etc.? So these are questions that you could come up. If you ask those questions, I guarantee you're going to blow the other guy out the water that simply said, thanks for having me. And that was it.
All right, you got the job.
I do?
Yeah, man, it's that simple. Congratulations.
So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. This video tends to be for people that are employed by other individuals that are looking or are in between jobs. And it gives you my take of what I look for in an interview when I personally want to go ahead and get someone to work for me. I've employed people both in the United States and outside, and I've employed a lot of freelancers. So I've basically seen it all and heard it all and in different positions. And I definitely feel like these are kind of the basics of go-to questions that tend to get asked in any interview out there. So good luck, guys, and hope you enjoyed this video. Again, hit that like button and subscribe if you like my content. As always, I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys here in the next video.